was my first day of kindergarten. I put on a brand new blue dress with a white collar trimmed with lace, stood in front of a full-length mirror and twirled around in excitement. And then I looked down at my shoes. I hated these shoes, these school shoes. I wanted Mary Jane's, but Mary Jane's didn't come in quad A widths, and these shoes did. Ugly, brown, leather Oxfords. Yuck, yuck, double yuck. Just then, Mother called, "Carol Ann, Gary Eugene, breakfast is ready." Well, my brother and I ran down to the kitchen, and Mother handed each one of us a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. Then the three of us sat down to the table. Mother said grace, and then each of us chose our favorite cereal. I always chose Cheerios because it stayed crunchy until the last bite. But my brother, he always chose Wheaties because that was the breakfast of champions. Mother had a toaster at one end of the table, and it had 2 doors that were hinged. She would open each door and put a slice of bread behind each door. Then when she closed it up, the coils inside the toaster would get red hot and toast one side of each slice. Then she would open the doors, turn the bread around, and repeat the procedure. Well, this morning, when she closed the doors of the toaster, fire shot up from the toaster. I screamed and knocked over my orange juice, and Mother quickly pulled the plug, and the fire went away. But my brother turned to me and with a sneer said, "Carol Ann, you did it again." He was always saying that to me, always doing put-downs, and that was because I had the audacity to be born into his family, and thus brought an end to his 4.5 years of being only child. Well, my brother was always watching me, seeing something that I would do wrong. Like, if I forgot to close the bread wrapper, he'd say, "Carol Ann, you did it again." And if I left the cap off the toothpaste, he'd say, "Carol Ann, you did it again." And if I should step 1 foot into his room, he'd say, "Carol Ann, you did it again." After breakfast, we brushed our teeth, Mother kissed us goodbye, and we started our walk of 3.5 blocks to our school. The school was Francis Willard Elementary School, and it epitomized the lyrics to the song, "Everything's Up to Date in Kansas City." Now, on that walk, on that first day to school, my brother told me all about Miss Good, the principal of the school. He said, "Miss Good rarely comes out of her office, but when she does, you'll know who she is, 'cause she never smiles, and she walks around with a notebook and a pencil, and she writes down the names of all the naughty children. And you never want to be sent to Miss Good's office, 'cause she has whips hanging from the walls and paddles with holes drilled in them so they hurt like 100 hornets. And she even has an electric paddle." And with those encouraging words, he opened the door to the kindergarten, shoved me in, and then he rushed off to 4th grade. And there I stood, so frightened. All I wanted to do was run back home, but I couldn't do that, because Mother said I must never ever cross the street alone. "Welcome to kindergarten," said a friendly voice. I looked up, and there was a kind-faced lady smiling down at me. "What is your name?" she asked. "I'm Carol Ann Farley, and I live on Euclid Avenue, and I want my mommy." "Well, of course you do," said Miss Lowe. "But it won't be long that she'll be back here to take you home. Now, why don't we just look around and see all the fun things there are to do here in kindergarten?" And she took me by the hand. We walked over to the block corner. There were so many blocks of all shapes and sizes. Oh, I'd love to play in the block corner. Then she took me over to where there were art easels. Oh, and there was a piece of newsprint on each one. And in the easel tray, there were jars of paint of all different colors. And in each jar, there was a long-handled brush. Oh, how I'd love to paint a big picture here. And then she took me over to the housekeeping center. There was a child-sized refrigerator, stove, cabinets. There were pots and pans and dishes and utensils. There was a table with chairs and even a doll bed with dolls and doll clothes and blankets. Then I saw it. A piano, a real piano. Oh, how I love music, especially piano music. Kindergarten was going to be wonderful. Now, after that first day, Mother met me at the door. She walked me back home. On the way, I told her about kindergarten, how much fun I had at the block center, how much fun I had painting a picture on a big easel with long-handled brushes, and oh, how much fun it was to play house. But the thing I liked best, Mama, was when the teacher sat down at the piano and played music, and we sang a new song. It was called Head and Shoulders, Knees and Toes. And I made 2 new friends. A little girl named Fran with long black hair, and a little boy with dimples named Sparky. When we got home, we had lunch. Tomato soup and toasted cheese sandwiches. Later on in the afternoon, my brother came home from school. He walked up to me, looked at my shoes, and said, "Those are brand new shoes. Mother just bought them, and look, they're scuffed up already. Carol Ann, you did it again." "That's enough, Gary Eugene," Mother said from the kitchen. Every day, Miss Lowe chose one child to be her special helper, and one day she chose me. "Carol Ann," she said, "here, take these reports down to the principal's office." I took the papers. I walked out of the room. I walked into the hall, and slowly I walked down the hall. But my brother's words echoed over and over in my head. "You never want to go to Miss Good's office," he said. I thought about the whips on the wall, and the wooden paddles, and even the electric paddle. I was so frightened by the time I got to the principal's office that I was shaking all over. Timidly, I knocked on the door. A voice on the other side said, "Come in." Oh, but I couldn't. I just kept knocking. Finally, someone opened the door, but I couldn't look at them. I just held the sheets of paper out. The person took the sheets and said, "Come in and sit down." Oh, I must be in really big trouble, I thought. I walked in and I sat down, and the voice said, "What is your name?" I'm Carol Ann Farley, and I'm in kindergarten, I sputtered. "Well, I'm Miss Good, the principal here, and I noticed your brown leather lace-up Oxfords. Do you like them?" I couldn't talk. The words stuck in my throat. I just shook my head no. Well, I thought so. You know, I had brown leather lace-up Oxfords too when I was a little girl. Do you happen to have quad A width feet like I did? I shook my head yes. How would it be like if you didn't have any shoes at all? She said. Oh, I never thought about that. Oh, the sidewalks in Kansas City during the summer get so hot you can fry eggs. My mother said so. Oh, and in the winter, oh, Kansas City has so much snow and ice. My feet would get so cold. Well, there are a lot of children in the world that don't have any shoes at all, said Miss Good. At least you have shoes. I looked up. She was smiling. My brother said that Miss Good never smiled, but she was smiling. And then I looked at the walls. There weren't any whips hanging from the walls. There weren't any wooden paddles with holes drilled in them. There wasn't even an electric paddle. Miss Good, the kids say that you have whips on the walls and wooden paddles and even an electric paddle, but you don't, do you? Oh, no. No, I don't. But let's just keep that a secret, okay? Oh, Miss Good, I promise I will never, ever, ever tell anyone, not a single soul, not as long as I live. And to show her I really meant it, I crossed my heart over and over. But I can proudly say that after all these years, I have kept my promise. I have never, ever told a single oops until just now when I told you. If my brother were here, I know what he'd say. Carol Ann, you did it again.